Toastmasters. And returning guests. This evening, I will be serving as your general evaluator. The purpose of my role is to first introduce our evaluators and also to give a brief evaluation of the meeting as a whole. Evaluations will be done in 2 to 3 minutes. The green light come on in 2 minutes, the orange light at 2.5, and the red light at 3 minutes. And the evaluators have 30 seconds to wrap their evaluations up. Our first evaluator is Ms. Renee Moy to evaluate Mr. Richard Henderson's speech. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster, Ms. Renee Moy.
Fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guests, and Richard, I will direct my feedback to you on his project, How to Say It, A Puppy Eating Rhino. When I first heard the title, I was thinking, what kind of puppy eats rhinos? Until I got the picture of a big-headed watermelon puppy. So thanks for that description. This project was really trying to break sentences down to make them very short and very precise. And I feel like you met that objective. You used very simple, short sentences to explain what happened on your trip. You used great visuals of the binoculars. You also talk about the cat's eyes. I really thought the description of the hyenas was the best because you thought of them just like a pack of puppies, but with these watermelon-sized heads. And that helps us to visualize the size of a hyena. So I thought you did that very well. Your speech was very understandable, and you used a triad in your speech. There were 3 points. You used those 3 points, and then at the conclusion, you summarized those 3 points. And I thought you handled that very well. I didn't hear a lot of jargon, and your grammar was very well throughout the project. I really enjoyed the imagery, though, that you created. And I think that's what a big part of this speech did. It helped to create imagery. But there were a couple of animals that I would like to have seen more creation of what they looked like to help us to create that mental picture. And you have the time on the clock, so that may be a way to stretch out the length of your speech. Another thing is that you used a triad, but I also sort of kind of thought of things that might go along with the 3 points that you made. 1, make an informed decision. Take time to think. It takes time to think. Another thing, focus. Haven't we all heard focus grasshopper? And again, that makes us see that visual. And then work as a team. 1 is the loneliest number. So I think that was another way to add in the simile that you could have brought into this project. The thing that I would mention to you as sort of things to watch, when we're telling stories, we get into our story, and it's very hard to realize, I didn't end that sentence. We use and so, and so. It creates the story, but it doesn't end the sentence. So that would be one thing I would ask you to watch, is be sure to bring that sentence to a conclusion, then move on to your second thought. Finally, I would also mention that you watch your hands and what they're doing. Use them with purpose, but don't just use them because they're there. With that, I will return the control to our general evaluator.
Our second evaluator to evaluate Mr. Scott's Manning speech, another distinguished Toastmaster. Please help me welcome DTM Mr. Jim Hall. Lefty all of a sudden. I'm ambidextrous.
My friends, my good Toastmaster friends, for those of you who are newbies and are questioning in your mind, okay, do they work from assignment manuals? Yes, we absolutely do. When you first join Toastmasters, they give you a manual and you have 10 speeches that you get through. And once you get through there, man, it's a no man's land out in front of you. I can remember the day that I finished my, the competent communicator thing, and I will never forget opening the great big catalog and saying, well, which manuals that are advanced do I want to choose from? And I remember buying them all. Man, I set away for the entire kit and caboodle of manuals because I wanted to pick and choose where I wanted to go from there. So then, not long afterward, a big stack showed up in the mail, and there must have been 20 manuals that came in the mail that day. And I started flipping on through them. And I said, which way am I going to go in these advanced manuals? One of them that was in that stack of 20 was one called Technical Presentations. And I looked at the cover of this thing, and there's a lady in front of this great big display board, and there's arrows pointing this way, and boxes and stuff, and Technical Presentations. Holy moly, this looks like something that they would use at NASA. And I started flipping on through to the contents page, and there's 5 assignments in here. And the 5 assignments, get the titles of these. The technical briefing. The proposal. Number 3, the non-technical audience. Number 4, presenting a technical paper. Ding, 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 and that's where we're at today. Presenting the technical paper. Now, I have to tell you, I have never horsed with this manual up until the point that Scott handed it to me and said, I want you to evaluate me. I looked, and did you ever see on TV that cartoon with the cat and the mouse, and the cat's eyes, they also, like that? That's what my eyes felt like when I looked at this thing. Get some of the questions off there. Did the speaker discuss only the highlights of the technical paper? You know what my answer is? I think so. I think so. It says, was the presentation tailored to the audience interest? And I can only say, as President Obama once said, this is above my pay grade. And then he asked the question, what evidence is it that he prepared diligently? Well, all I know is there was one slide up here that said IIS test coverage summary page. That was proof positive that he definitely invested work in it. Now, how effective were his visual aids? I gotta say that probably an engineer would get goosebumps all over from watching what he saw. But the average run-of-the-mill Toastmaster is sitting there looking for cartoons. We are looking for funny pictures. We are looking for illustrations, something amidst all of the meaty charts and definitions that he was getting excited about. Now, I have to tell you, what presentation strengths did he offer? And there's no doubt the man brought confidence in his abilities, and deservedly so. Scott is brilliant. He is not your run-of-the-mill pencil pocket protector type guy here that talks. He's not one of those kind of guys. He's brilliant. But I got to tell you, this was over my head tonight. I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like a deer in the headlights at this thing, and I'm saying, what in the world can I possibly say that's going to give this man the chops that he needs to go in next week and do this? All I know is, Scott, I think you're going to slay him dead next week, but I don't know. I don't know. I think you are, but I'm very, very proud of you. You do quality work, definitely way beyond where I'm at, because, Bud, I was scared to death of this manual. I congratulate you.
Mr. Timekeeper, can I get the times of the evaluations?
Yes. For Renee, it was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. She was right at the money. And for Jim, it was 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
That was very technical. No need to vote once again for the best evaluator of the evening. Speaking of, I need some ribbons down here.